Hi guys and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you what I did to improve the steering on my KITT Trans Am. Let's go. Even though you could technically also count it as part of the steering elements, I did cover the replacement of the ball joints in the video about the suspension restoration. Click on the link in the top right corner or in the description box to watch that video as well. The next and without a doubt easiest upgrade you can do in this car is the installation of a steering brace, also called a Wonderbar. Now why would that be? Well, it's because it mounts directly in between the front sway bar and the chassis, and you don't have to drill any additional holes. You can just use the bolts that are already holding in place the front sway bar. Now what's the point of a steering brace or a Wonderbar anyways? Well, let me quote Top Down Solutions. That's the company I bought my Wonderbar from. So first of all, it ties the left and right sides of the frame together under the front of the car. You can think of it as a strut tower brace for the bottom of the car. It actually improves the handling of the car more than a strut tower brace does. Second, the steering brace strengthens the chassis and takes stress from the steering gearbox mount. It is common in third-gen F bodies for fatigue and stress cracks to form around the steering gearbox mounting location. Funnily enough, Firebirds from the factory were never offered with a steering brace or Wonderbar. To my knowledge, only the Chevrolet Camaro IROC-Z had one installed from the factory, but I mean, if it had been up to me, I would have put a steering brace into every Chevrolet Camaro and Pontiac Firebird, no matter what engine or suspension is in it. As said before, I bought my Wonderbar from Top Down Solutions. You'll find the link in the description box. And I also want to add that I did not get sponsored by Top Down Solutions. I bought this one with my own money. They have excellent ratings. You can have them in black or in red as far as I know. And also the reason why I went with this Wonderbar from Top Down Solutions is because it is mounted to the chassis by 3 bolts per side. And why that is so helpful, I'm going to show you right now. For the ease of installation, I drove my KITT Trans Am up on the ramps so I could access the sway bar more easily. And then I lowered the sway bar. And then when I installed the Wonderbar, the good thing about this one is that it actually is bolted on by 3 bolts per side. Well, yeah, per side. So you can just bolt up the outer one first, which is not where the sway bar goes up into. So especially if you're doing this by yourself, you can just bolt on the outer bolts first, each per side, and then reconnect the sway bar, and then you're done. And really, I cannot stress this enough. If you don't already have a Wonderbar installed on your Firebird or Camaro, just get one. I mean, I can't say if the one from Top Down Solutions is the best out on the market. It's the only one I've ever seen and tried and put on my car. Obviously, I'm not going to go around and try other ones, but they are really good. And I could really feel the moment I put it on and went back on the road with the car, the whole steering and chassis is just that much better held together. It's just also peace of mind from protecting the chassis area around the steering box from cracking. Let's move on to the steering coupler. The factory steering coupler in the Firebirds and Camaros are rag joint style, which means that it has a sort of a rubbery, leathery inside, which goal is to provide vibration dampening coming from the steering system, therefore also reducing vibration going all the way up to the steering wheel. For ease of work, let's just take the entire steering shaft out of the car so we can easily work on the coupling system. But before you do that, make sure that you line up, well, that you keep the steering wheel and the wheels in a straight position. Alright, here's the deal with the steering. I have bought a new steering coupling. And in order to mount that and to get to the steering shaft, I had to take the intake out. After that, you just have to lift, there it is, you just have to lift this plastic cover up and pull back. And here's the old steering coupling. So this is where I have I'm going to release that nut, basically the one that's here, 13mm. Bring the whole thing back, and instead of having bolts on the old one like here on the new one, they are, well, this side I'm pretty much gonna have to grind down and push those old bolts through. So what I did is put the pry bar up in here in between the steering box and the shaft and just push it out. Obviously my first idea was to grind off those bolts from inside, but I couldn't really reach with the Dremel, so I'm deciding to take the whole shaft out, and then there's I think a 50mm bolt over here, so which would allow me to take the whole shaft out
and basically do this on the bench.
I drilled up the rivets or the bolts of the factory rack joint, took them out, threw that one away, and was able then to just bolt on the new rack joint, which luckily enough is not held in place with just rivets, but with actually bolt and nuts, so I can just bolt it together and put it back in the car. And now all you have to do basically is to follow the disassembly process in reverse, put it back in the car, and just make sure that the steering wheel and the wheels are actually lined up again straight, so you don't mess up anything with the steering. Many Thirdgen owners like to swap the entire factory steering shaft with the steering shaft of a Chevrolet Astro van. The reason being is that the Astro van steering shaft has a solid coupling system. There's no rag joint in it. The advantage of this Astro van steering shaft that also fits the Thirdgens as well is a much more direct steering, obviously. But it does come at a price, and the price is more vibration. You will have more vibration in the steering box, and all these vibrations will transfer over also into the steering wheel. I was recommended once I got into the subject that if I were to change or to put an Astro van steering shaft in it, I should also put a new steering box into the car, so it could take the additional stress or the additional vibration. So in the end, I did buy the Astro van steering shaft from Walter Racecraft, but I never installed it because I didn't want to lose in ride comfort. And for me, that was more important than having the most precise steering out there in the world. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, this car is a cruiser, and I really didn't want also to damage the steering box, or just even if I were to get a new or a remanufactured steering box, the additional vibration might in the long term still damage that one too. So I thought, what's the point? So in the end, I do have the Walter Racecraft steering shaft, the Astro van steering shaft. So if you want to buy it, feel free to reach out to me, send me an email or direct message me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to sell it to you for 70 euros plus shipping cost. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment or dislike it if you didn't like it. The next video will be about the braking system. So stay tuned, and until next time.